Good afternoon. This is Joy News and we are live on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. I am Emma Davies. March 8th is marked as International Women's Day. It is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. The day marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity and raising awareness about discrimination. This year's theme is Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. So in place of marketplace, today we bring you a special discussion on the topic, creating an enabling environment for women in organizations and institutions to inspire growth. This is in partnership with the Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce. At the end of this dialogue, we hope to promote the importance of benefits and the benefits of a gender-equal world, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where difference is valued and celebrated. I will be moderating this discussion with Kayla Giraldo. She's the Administrative Coordinator for Black History Festivals. Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Emma.
Welcome.
This promises to be an amazing conversation. I can't wait for us to start the panel discussion. So, briefly, I just want to ask you, do you know that 40% women worldwide contribute to the global workforce? And on a general scale, we actually contribute about 18 trillion in consumer spending. Now that tells you that women play a key role in our global economy. So let's zoom into a brief message from the Executive Secretary of the Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce.
My name is Edwina Atasuno. I am the Secretary of the Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce. Today, we honor the resilience, strength, and leadership of women in business. As we contemplate the theme of inspiring inclusion, it's crucial to acknowledge the remarkable role that women play in fostering diversity and inclusion within workplaces across the globe. To all the trailblazing women leaders, your courage, determination, and unwavering commitment inspire us all to break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and foster inclusivity at every level. Let's continue to empower, support, and uplift one another, creating a future where every woman has the opportunity to thrive and lead with confidence. Happy International Women's Day. Inspire inclusion.
I'm Esther Sakayomeso, Assistant Audit Manager with Morrison & Associates and Company Secretary for Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce. It's amazing to be a woman, and this year as we celebrate our International Women's Day, we aim to inspire inclusion for all women. To inspire inclusion, we urge all women to do the following. 1. Be prepared physically, professionally, emotionally, and socially to take advantage of all the opportunities around us. Secondly, let's deliver to excellence, leaving no stone unturned. Then to the world at large, we urge that women will be assessed void of all biases. We at Cancham are rooting for all our amazing women to press on. There are bigger rooms waiting for us all. Happy International Women's Day. Inspire inclusion.
We're also live on all our social media platforms, Joy News and Joy Business. We'd love to have your questions, comments, and contributions. Our panelists in studio are Selassie Nukbe Adam. She is the Assistant Director of Career Services at Ashesi University. Before moving into academia, Selassie worked in international trade, business development, and marketing in several industries across Ghana and the United Kingdom. Also here is Shika Acolatse, Country Director of Enablers Ghana. Shika has over 20 years varied and rich experience in entrepreneurship, micro, small, and medium enterprises development. She has served as a resource person for various entrepreneurship development programs, including the African Business Leaders Forum. She is also an accredited entrepreneurship trainer from the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship in New York, USA. Joining us via Zoom is Chief Operating Officer of Consolidated Shipping Agencies, Linda Vasnani. Linda has 25 years experience in freight forwarding and logistics. She has spearheaded many projects in the oil and gas, mining, telecommunication, retail, and perishable vertical markets. She won the Chief Operating Officer of the Year at the 2021 Women in Mining Awards. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me begin with Shika, since you are into entrepreneurship and more women-led businesses, MSMEs. What is the natural or unique feature that women, have to thrive in businesses?
Thank you very much. So this is an interesting question. For me, I think women naturally manage issues. So management is a natural skill that women have. Women nurture. And so because we nurture, it's easy for women to go through the space of entrepreneurship and also the space of management and working with people generally. There are many other skills because I don't want to take the sail out of anybody's, the wind out of anybody's sail. So let's continue. But natural nurturing of women is an added skill.
I recently engaged a psychologist, and she said women tend to try to be there for everybody. In trying to be there for everybody and, sometimes neglecting our mental health, how do you think women can balance that?
It requires a good balance. Women, first of all, must ask for help. I think one of the things we don't do very often, I won't say we don't do well, we don't do very often, is to ask for help. Maybe psychologically because we feel that people would even think that women are not capable. We try to face everything ourselves and do it. So that creates a lot of imbalance and some stress on the woman.
That's a very great input. So my next question goes to Selassie. Do you think that we are inspiring young women enough? Are we inspiring them and motivating them to dominate the men, the industry that men are typically known to domineer?
That's a good question. I think we have started making some really good strides, but there is still a lot of room for improvement.
Right.
So if I take, for instance, where I am coming from, as in Ashesi University, we make sure that, look, we are not only supporting these young girls who are in university, but even before university. So we are going as far back to high school, to junior high, and encouraging these young girls to take on challenges, to be inspired. And you have these university girls mentoring these young girls.
Exactly.
And then once they come to university, we are doing exactly that. We are encouraging them, we are introducing them to various mentors, we are giving them a variety of challenges that they could take on. And pushing them and letting them know that it can be done. You will make mistakes along the way, but hey, guess what? That's how I, came to this stage. And just grow through it. Allow yourself to, grow through it. So there is a lot of room for improvement in this aspect.
Okay, so can you share any experiences in that regard as to how Ashesi is actually encouraging young ladies to delve into this male industries, usually dominated by males?
Great. So typical example, when you come to Ashesi, engineering and computer science departments, for instance, are headed by ladies. Nice. The head of engineering is a woman, the head of computer science is a woman.
Great.
You've got lots of female lecturers. So in even seeing women who have risen to that level and are teaching you is an inspiration in itself.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, we are giving these young ladies various opportunities for internships. And when they go out to the field, a lot of these companies are supportive of women. And they are putting the women at par with the young ladies at par with the gentlemen, and giving them opportunities to go out there, get yourself dirty under the equipment, do the engineering bit. You can do it. And the support is there for, for developing all of them.
Right. Thank you.
Right. Selassie, there are 4 C's in the 21st, learning skills that help prepare people for the job market. And we have critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. How is Ashesi, utilizing these 4 C's to help women thrive?
Interesting one. I think it runs through the whole curriculum, basically, at Ashesi. First of all, the environment itself at Ashesi is a very collaborative one. So we believe we can't do it all by ourselves. We believe that, look, success of women, success of the youth, it's something that every organization within Ghana, within Africa, we need to come together to succeed in this. And we are doing this through what we call Education Collaborative, where we are partnering with other institutions across Africa to say that, hey, we are great, maybe we are great in the area of leadership or career services. You are great in the area of entrepreneurship. Why don't we come together and help our students, especially the female students, in developing this? So in an area where, Ashesi probably has about 700 female students, we would be able to reach only 700 students. But in the collaborative, we are now able to reach tens of thousands of young ladies, across in supporting them to develop any of these top C's. In addition to that, you talked about communication, critical skills, creativity. You have that embedded in the different activities you're asking the students to do. So, for instance, in my office, we allow students to work with us. We give them challenges. Go ahead. We have this event coming up. Help us with the planning. This is developing their creativity. This is developing their communication skills. This is allowing them to, try out things and learn for themselves.
Right. Linda, how can organizations address biases and stereotypes that may hinder women's progress? I know you run a very big corporation. I would also like to know what your organization does in this regard.
Thank you very much. For me, before we actually address this question, it's good to know what statistics indicate about women who hold leadership and board positions. Okay. The Board Diversity Index indicates that Ghana has made significant progress in helping women in leadership positions. Between 2022 and 2023, the report by the Boardroom of Africa, in collaboration with the Ghana Stock Exchange, has indicated that 14% of women now currently serve as board chairs, and 12% are CEOs, 22% are CFOs, and 13% are COOs, including myself. And so these numbers are really, really encouraging. And for me, there have been so many talk shows, webinars, and events that have identified challenges that women go through, such as pay gap disparities, discrimination, sexual harassment. But to me, there are some of the challenges that we don't speak enough about. The first thing for me is that organizations do well in designing policies for women. But these policies tend to be a one-size-fits-all policy that does not really address the challenges that women go through during the different stages of their lives. And I'm going to be a little bit controversial here. A woman in her 20s, for instance, is probably single, doesn't have as many responsibilities as older women have, and so will have time to develop her career. But at that age, they are now coming into the job market, and no organization will invest heavily at an entry level, or someone who's coming in at an entry level. And then you look at someone who's between 30 and 40, who is now trying to balance work with family and all kinds of responsibilities. And so trying to develop their career is challenging. And yet her peers who are men have the liberty to advance their careers during this stage of their lives. And so it's very difficult for women to advance. And again, for women between 40 and 60, which is where I fall, I'm highly experienced. I've gained a lot of knowledge over the years, but now I'm facing a lot of physiological changes like perimenopause, menopause, and these things affect our productivity. And so I feel one of the challenges is that organizations need to be aware of some of these things that we go through so that when they are formulating policies, they have that in the background. Thank you.
Right, with all the stages you've mentioned, you're probably at the last phase. Can you tell us how, as an individual, personally, how you managed to go through all these stages, balancing work and your personal life?
Okay, so for me, one of the things, I think one of my co-panelists mentioned it, is that we don't know how to ask for help as women. We think when we start asking for help, then it means you're a failure. But trust me, I asked for help all along the way. I kept asking for help. I kept talking about areas where I needed help in. One of the things that has really helped me, and I can't talk enough about it, is that as a woman, you can't do everything and you can't know everything. And so for me, in areas where I've been weak in, I always make sure I surround myself with the experts. For instance, I'm not someone who is very good with the area of finance and accounting. And so my CFO is my bestie. I go to him for a lot of advice, but as I'm doing that, I'm learning from him as well. So it's very important for us to surround ourselves with the right people, surround ourselves with the right tribe, people who will help us to advance in whatever we are doing.
It's very key indeed to acknowledge that without the help and assistance from leaders, we can't really go that far. Now, this plays into the mentoring role, because without key mentors, it will be very difficult to strive into the industries that we really want to be in. So my next question actually goes to Miss Shika Acolatse. I want to find out, what are the key mentor programs that encourage women, to be more confident in order to dominate the male industry?
So I like your question, but I'm not sure whether we want to dominate. The objective is for women
to dominate,
exactly, or the males in industry. There are so many, but back to your question, really, there are so many mentorship programs. Even in our part of the world now, in Ghana, mentoring is a very vital part of developing people, both male and female, into leadership. I must say that we need to focus a bit more on structuring the mentorship programs that we have. I'm saying this because much as it is being done, I think there's room for improvement, because most mentoring programs are not very well structured, so that you can say from beginning to end, this is what the impact has been. We don't measure the impact very well. If, for example, at the workplace, every male leader or every leader, both male and female, is assigned somebody to mentor from level A to level B to level C, and the person is measured and recognized for it, I think that would be a good start. So I think there should be clear policies around mentorship in organizations and in workplaces generally, and there should be that recognition for those who participate and do well in it. Women can mentor women, men can mentor women, and vice versa. What we are looking for is the impact on leadership in women.
Yeah, that's so true. And I realize that usually this falls in 3 different areas. How we are mentored from the home, it starts in the school, and then gradually we are in the workspace, and then we still need to find mentors. So it's a follow-up question on the first one. So how can we be mentored right from the onset, in the home, in the schools, and then gradually, now that we are in the workspace, how do we then, what are the key things for us to find out to follow up on our bosses, our leaders, to ensure that we learn the right things from them?
Okay, so from the home, naturally, the women come in again. So it's a duty of a woman again. Of course, there's a duty of both the dad and mom to ensure that they start mentoring their children. I mean, conditioning them to understand that the world belongs to both men and women, and that both men and women can do, given the right opportunity or the same opportunities, can excel equally. So I think we should, as parents, encourage both our girl child and our male child to see each other as equals and do whatever they can do to support each other. So that's starting. So this is a whole lecture on this. So I think I'll just summarize this like that. In the institutions, and I'm sure Selassie would continue from there, but in the institutions, it has to continue. For example, when I was growing up, and I'm sure it hasn't changed that much, science was kind of reserved for boys. I mean, I did science when I was in secondary school, and we're 4 girls in the class of 40.
Wow.
So, I mean, that alone tells you what it is. So I think that that narrative should change in the schools as well. And then when you come to the workplace, equal opportunity is what we need. However, because women have some challenges, some of them natural, some of them man-made. When I say man-made, created by the very environment that we have, I think there should be specific policies tailored to support women in the aspects that they need. They are challenged naturally. For example, women would every month go through a certain cycle. For some women, they are completely unproductive for 1 day, others 2 days, others for the 7 days or even more, depending on the person's situation. The person is completely out of it. What programs or what policies is there in workplaces for them to be encouraged, to be supported, to keep working? For example, are they able to work from home? Are they able to, are people understanding their situation so that they can give them tasks or they can use them in different ways? The same way childbirth will come in, pregnancy, breastfeeding and all that. What are the support structures in place for women to thrive? And still be responsible for their natural rules and so on. So I think that the natural aspect of it and also the man-made, which we can always solve with policies and the mentoring that we mentioned in workplaces, can help.
Thank you so much.
Well,
I don't know whether Selassie wants to add up to this.
I think you've really given a good summary of it all. But I really would like to encourage other educational institutions, that companies out there are willing to support these young ladies in institutions. So once you reach out to them and let them know that, look, you're looking for mentors, whether female mentors or male mentors, even for these young ladies, especially in the technical fields, you'll be surprised at how many people, will actually volunteer to mentor these young girls. And also there are institutions like the Executive Women's Network who intentionally have mentoring programs that mentor young people, especially young professionals who are in middle level and growing to become leaders in companies.
Well, an informal conversation I had with someone, he said some top leaders are having problems with some of the graduates that are being churned out lately. They're not able to meet the standards. So it has put the person in a tight position where almost every month they are laying off people. And now we are in a technological world. STEM was not so popular some years ago, but now it's gradually seeping in. I want to find out how, Ashesi, as someone who is in academia, how are you, incorporating STEM education to enable people thrive in a changing, world?
So I'm thinking of, I see two aspects of your questions, and I'd like to probably tackle the first one about how your person you spoke to seems to be having problems with a young graduate in the workplace. It's not surprising. I mean, young people are coming from secondary school to university. It's a learning curve, it's a learning care for them. And it's up to us as people in the institutions, whether it's academia or even industry, it's up to us to acknowledge that these young people don't know it all, and we need to offer them that support. So that support could come in a variety of ways. So for instance, for a first-year student, and I'm giving you the example of Ashesi, for instance. For a first-year student, I know that if I go and put a first-year student in a company, they are obviously not going to, perform at the level that you expect. So how about I offer them a 2-week job shadowing program with your company? So I'm saying that this is a first-year student. They want to observe how the professionals are working for 2 weeks. And then once they come back to school, you're taking them through different training, through different development sessions, including communication skills, like you said, how to collaborate, how to network, how to interview skills, how to do even practical stuff. So by the time they're in the second year and third year, they are more confident, and companies are feeling a lot comfortable giving them more tasks. By the time they graduate, you can see that this person has had, the students, especially females, have had opportunities to develop along the way. So I think it's not something that academia can do alone. We need to do it hand in hand with industry.
Then the STEM bit?
The STEM bit, sorry, can you ask that again?
How are you incorporating STEM into the education to prepare people for a digital world?
Okay. So like I said, we offer various courses at Ashesi, including computer science, management information systems, computer engineering. I'll give you an example of what is happening in the next 3 months. So in the next 3 months, for instance, we have partnered with an institution outside Bloomberg. And this company has decided that, look, we want to mentor some of your students in the computer science area. Actually, not only computer science, but in the STEM area. We want to mentor them. And mentoring them means they are attaching their engineers and their computer scientists to these students, for the students to explore with them, ask them questions. In addition to that, they are offering, speaker sessions. So tomorrow, for instance, is a day in the life of a computer scientist. Students are joining, they are going to ask questions and learn from these. So we're not doing only the classroom side, but we're doing also, learning from industry, what is actually happening. And then you have the time for internships and job shadowing when it's time. So that's how Ashesi is, bringing all the areas together to fix in the nice jigsaw puzzle.
Great. Let me go to Linda. Linda, although, we are trying to talk about challenges and highlight the challenges of women, it's important for us to also share some positive stories to be able to encourage them and let them know that it's not always black or it's not always negative. Can you help us? Can you share some examples of what your organization has done to create an enabling environment for women?
Okay, so first of all, when I first started work in Cancham, I was literally the only woman in management.
Wow.
And over the years, Cancham is making a conscientious effort to make sure that we have more women in top, at least in the management position. And what we have is we actually have a development plan for them. And so the end game is to make sure that we bring them up to my position and even CEO position one day. So there's a plan for women within our organization. But I do have one poignant story I would like to share. So when we began working for a mining company 2 years ago, we were supposed to send some representatives to the mine sites to represent us as site reps. And first, we considered 4 members of staff who were all male. But I thought about it and I thought, let me think out of the box. And I identified this young lady who was working with us. She's an engineer. And so I made a pitch to top management and I said, look, instead of sending all men out, let's give this young lady a chance. And from the beginning, I got a few mixed reactions about this suggestion, but she excelled in the interview and she actually went to work and she was very capable. The company made sure she was fully equipped to execute the job. And I personally got involved with her because one thing I realized is that the young ladies are very capable. they can do just as well as the men do. But I think they need some encouragement. They need a cheerleader. They need someone who will hear their problems, be able to identify with them, and then help them to actually, even resolve some of the problems. And so I got involved personally to try and address any issues she had working at the mine site. And she's been doing an amazing job. I'm so happy to announce that she's actually the head now or she's the head site rep where she's working. And currently we've employed another woman on another mine site who's also doing amazing. So for me, it's just being a cheerleader, encouraging them, letting them know that, they can do just as well as their peers are doing. And for me, one of the lessons I learned from that is that, yes, we'll give them the tools, they need the encouragement. Her co-site rep is a man, and they are working very well. And for me, this is a fine example of what it means to have a diverse team.
Right. My next question goes to all three of you. Right. How can we encourage men or, put men or let men understand us to be able to create an equal opportunity for women? Who starts? Shika.
I'm happy to start.
Shika can pick it.
So, in sharing this, I am sharing from where I come from.
Right.
And we have a big diversity and inclusion, unit within our organization. And what we make sure we do is that, so first of all, we come from an environment where, we have our culture playing, it's a factor, how our upbringing. So some of these behaviors that may not be supportive of women, it's not intentional. They have come from a background that we have grown in. So there has to be an intentional effort by an organization. That's what we do in my organization, where there's the inclusion and diversity department that almost, has training sessions. Literally, you could start from that. Training sessions, for both men and men and women, to let them understand that, hey, this is right, this is not right, or this is what we have grown naturally to know, but how about we do it this way or that way? It's a work in progress, and it's, we can bring them along, we can work with them. So that's what we do, diversity and inclusion training, and actually having the practice on the workplace. And if I were to talk about executive board, it's almost a 50-50 male to female ratio. And everyone is watching, everybody sees that, and everybody emulates that. So you have the men being naturally supportive of women because they see that leadership is living that and is working with that.
So, to support what Salasi said, I would give an example of a company that actually has gone a step further to create what I would call a hygiene or comfort room for nursing mothers in the organization. So when it's available for use, anybody could use it. If a mother who is a staff needs to come to work and doesn't have anybody to care for the baby, they come with the carer and they sit there, and that has worked. So it's like a nursery, very nicely done, a playground. A caregiver can be with that baby in the room whilst the mom is working, and from time to time we'll go and check on them and breastfeed and come back. I thought this was very innovative, and indeed, along the line, a male also came to use the place because his wife was busy, he had traveled or something, so he came to work with the nanny, and he was keeping an eye on them. I thought this was very innovative. I just don't want to mention the company's name because I don't have their permission. And I believe that innovation leads to productivity, because I believe all these things would have added to the productivity of this company. And productivity, of course, naturally will lead to profitability. So I would think that this is a good example that people can look at and even not only emulate, but even improve on.
Right. I think now companies are trying to include paternity leave and all that. Do you want to, Linda, do you want to chip in?
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about paternity leave. I know my boss will strangle me, but honestly, I think it's important that these things are considered, because it also helps the woman to get back into the job market very quickly.
Right.
I would like to share something interesting. So in the early days when I first joined Conchip, I was the only woman on the management team. And I happened to be married to the CEO. So you can imagine, anytime I open my mouth to talk, it's like the meddling wife of the CEO is coming to say something. And you know, they were not seeing me as a colleague. But there's one thing that my boss and my husband always did, is that every time I made a suggestion and no one really reacted, he actually helped me to find my voice by repeating what I said, so that everyone would understand that, I mean, this is the contribution she's made. Let's discuss it. And I believe that men are really doing well in that regard, in helping women also find their voices. Thank you.
Yeah. We are inspiring inclusion, and this has been going on. We cannot come this far without men. You've been our backbone for a very long time. And I'll bring this back to you, Linda, because your response actually stares right back into my questions as to some of the stereotypes and biases in organizations that doesn't boost confidence in us as women to succeed.
Yeah, one of the things is that people tend to, for me, one stereotype, and I'm always talking from experience, is that as soon as men see you and see the way you are dressed, they are not expecting much from you, especially if you're somebody who's really well dressed. And you know, you literally have to keep trying to prove yourself, literally trying to prove the fact that you're actually qualified and you know you have a place at the table. And over the years, for me, that was one of the challenges, that I had to keep trying to prove myself that, you know, I actually am qualified to be here and I deserve to be here. And it's not because the CEO is my husband that I'm here, but it's because, you know, I've worked hard. And that's another thing too about women, is that we don't, you know, we don't brag on our achievements enough.
Right.
We shy away from doing that, and the men do that much better than we do.
Right.
You know, so for me, these are some of the stereotypes that I've experienced personally in the workplace, and because of that, I've been very intentional in helping the young women in our organization to grow and overcome some of these things.
Thank you so much. I would like to bounce it back to Selassie and Shika to equally share your experiences in regards to biases and stereotypes that you think it's about time is dropped, you know, to create a more enabling environment for women.
Okay. So I would add that some policies, certain policies like equal pay for the same job for both men and women should be encouraged.
Right.
There are quite a number of organizations that pay men more than women for the same job done.
Right.
I think it's about time we look at these policies and address these issues. And in doing policies that are intentionally designed to support women, I think the committee that would write these policies should include a woman or women. Because whether we like it or not, men are made differently. They think differently. They are not wrong. They are just different. Women also are not wrong, but we are also very different. But diversity does it better.
Right.
So I think that organizations should begin to set up committees, small committees that will really look at jobs, evaluation, and also pay structures and implement them to help us all grow and impact on the bottom line, which is the profitability of companies and therefore our economy.
Thank you so much, Selassie.
I think Shika and Linda have done a great job in answering this. I wouldn't want to belabor the point, so right on point.
Okay, so just one more. What tiny advice do you have for women across the globe watching us currently who look up to you? You are inspiring in what you do in your industry. So just a little advice. In a sentence that I'd give to young ladies is that give yourselves the opportunity to grow. Be willing to go out there and try things. You will make mistakes, but that is okay. Making a mistake does not mean, look, give up on it and don't push forward. Don't push forward. Give yourself that opportunity and find mentors. There are women out there who've walked that journey that you're trying to
you're trying to march on. Speak to them, learn from them. You would avoid a lot of the mistakes they have made in the past, and move on from there. So that's the advice I would give.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I believe this has been an insightful conversation. Thank you very much, our wonderful guests, Selassie, Shika, and Linda, who joined as VASUMs. My key takeaways are, ask for help, brag about your achievements,
You have to.
Negotiate for what you want. If you think you deserve it, go to the table and negotiate. Also, policies, organization implementing policies, to favor women or to factor women and give an equal opportunity to everyone. This has been exciting. Once again, thank you, my guests. Thank you, the audience, for staying with us and sticking with us. I am Emma Davies, and I did this with
Kayla Charity Geraldo. Thank you so much for staying with us. This was brought to you by Joy News and in partnership with the Canada-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, and a shout outs to all the team from the Cancham.
Yeah. So have a good afternoon. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.